You are listening to another AlwaysMoto production. The AlwaysMoto podcast with your host, David Hogan. We talk moto events from around the world. All the injuries, all the training ins and outs, the bikes, parts and gear inspections. The results, we interview your favourite riders. It's the AlwaysMoto podcast. We occasionally have some coarse language and the odd stuff up along the way. If you don't like it or you don't agree with us, turn it off right now.
I'd like to remind you that he is not a doctor.
Well, that's right, Moto fans. It's episode 161 of the AlwaysMoto podcast, proudly brought to you by TechnicMotorsport.com. I'm your host, David Hogan, the physiotherapist who knows the injuries and fitness needs of our sport of motocross and supercross, and we go through everything and anything moto here on the AlwaysMoto podcast. This week's show, we're going to catch up from all the action that happened at the doubleheader at the opening rounds of Australian Supercross, the Boost Mobile Australian Supercross presented by Monster Energy. We're going to catch up on all that action. We're going to bring in our man, he's on the screen as well at the moment, Ben Grinly, the contractor. He's going to help chat about what happened at the venue on the weekend from the position that he was on the couch watching at home. I'm going to catch up the sidelines view because I didn't see much on the other side of the track. We also got an interview with Seth Burchell, that's right, the number 18 from the WBR Bulk Nutrient Yamaha team. He joins us for a quick chat as well about his weekend up in Redcliffe and a little bit of other stuff. Turns out he's a working man during the week, Benny, but he's got a full-time job at the moment, being a dogman. So he's out there grinding both ends of it. But yeah, so let's get into this show. We need to run through and tell you all about the fact that there was plenty of crashes on the weekend. But all those bikes were crashing. They might have had poor setups. They probably had stiff front end setups in their forks. But they all have something in common. They've got suspension and they need to use Technic Motorsport to get their genuine parts. Now, KYB and Showa, they have an Australian distributor. That was a good one. Distributor. And that's Technic Motorsport in Sydney. So why would you use non-genuine seals, wipers, bushes and other consumables when the genuine parts are available, perform better and are usually only a day away? Technic Motorsport is your place to go to for those genuine parts, from seals to fork tubes to internal individual components and A-kit suspensions. From KYB and Showa, Technic has it. Use the Find My Bike tool to see the compatible parts. New products are always being added. And if you're not in Australia, that's okay. Technic Motorsport has a currency converter, a shipping calculator, and they ship daily with DHL to most countries. I gather there's probably not an American one going on at the moment with all the crap that's going on over there, Benny, but they will ship to pretty much everywhere, probably except America at the moment. But don't forget our other sponsors as well. We've got Dura Mousse on board. We're still waiting for the speaking of posting and stuff, we're waiting on Postage for that to show up. Having a few issues there, let's say. Not to do with Dura Mousse, but just to do with the courier companies. Pivot pegs, competitive edge performance, and Tech 167 3D printing for the show support. Our t-shirts, got mine on, Benny. So just right here. What do you got? You got the hat going. I've got a hat as well.
Got my hat on.
Yeah, good work. Yep. The t-shirts, they are available, $25 plus postage and handling. Did you see us in those new shirts in our interviews, Benny, as well?
Yep, I did, and as you can see, I've only got a plain one on.
Yeah, we haven't.
New ones at Cronulla.
Friday in Cronulla, you're going to see the big man over here in his new shirt that he'll be rocking. So, if you want to get a shirt from AlwaysMoto, info@AlwaysMoto is the email you need to contact. Payments via PayPal, you're going to send that in via that $25 plus the postage. But you can donate via our PayPal account as well. Just if you don't want a shirt, just want to support the show, you can donate to us. Use that link in our bio or the show notes below. You'll get straight to that. You'll also find some discount codes. Now, we've got a discount code for the Dura Mousse as well. You can get a 10% discount on mousses. Now, mousses are a couple $100 depending on what you're buying size-wise. 10% is a pretty big discount, Benny.
Can't complain about that.
No, mate. Saving money is always a good thing. All right, let's get into this show. Redcliffe. You watched it on the KO freebies, mate? How was it?
Yeah, I did watch it on the KO freebies. It was meant to be on Foxtel as well, but they're only showing replays. So straight over to the KO freebies to watch it, and can't complain. It was pretty good. Good to be back in Supercross season for us, and good racing all night.
Yeah, no, awesome to have the series back in action. It feels strange, but at this point for me already, for some reason, there's 3 rounds left. I feel like we're almost at halfway already. And it just started last weekend. It's such a short, fast series that I feel like it's already starting to disappear, and it's only just begun.
Yeah, well, you have round 1, round 2, and then a week break, and then the next week you're at Cronulla and it's round 3.
Yeah,
and then there's nearly a month wait for Melbourne.
Yeah, it's a decent gap. Now that's going to give some people some chances here, because there was a few injuries over the weekend, and they might give a few of them a chance to be back for that last 2 maybe. They might just be all sitting out. But yeah, the way the series has worked out this year, that big gap in the middle is going to send a few people back to the States to do training. Talking to Mitchell Harrison on press day, he's going back in between to do some testing with his Kawasaki team in the States, PRMX. So, he's going to flip back and forth between different bikes. Cedric Subaros is going to do Paris and I think it was Dortmund, German Supercross. So there's a lot happening in this little space of time, and not all of it is Australian Supercross related, but it's somehow intertwined.
Yeah, that's right. And you got to look at they need to go home, see family, do whatever. It is a month break. Then you got Dino, which is very sad circumstances. Will probably go home and see his family. I think last year he stayed here the whole time, but this year at least I'd say he'll go home, and there's actually that time that he doesn't have to worry about being here and focusing on that, and just go home and focus on what needs to be what the more important thing is.
Yeah, let's start there with the actual sort of race coverage. And condolences first and foremost to the Wilson family. Dean lost his mum there on, I'm not sure where it worked out, but it was between Saturday night and Sunday night's racing. So I'm not sure what time zones and all that sort of stuff, but basically between there, because he had a rough interview in terms of emotion-wise on the Saturday night, saying his mum wasn't well, and then even more emotional Sunday night interview on the coverage that, his mum had passed. And the moment that was mentioned in the crowd announcement for the one that goes through the stadium, the whole crowd sort of gasped and sort of, started cheering for Dino. It was a touching moment in the stands. It was felt by everyone as soon as that was said. And then they all looked to the big screen and saw him, tearing up, and made it even harder, and everybody else was sort of trying to support him. It was a really nice feeling. Unfortunate that it happens that way, and that he's lost his mum, but look, he did an amazing job to fight back whatever mental things were going on in his head, and he came out with two wins across the 2 nights and 4 dominant motos.
Yeah, I think at the end, finished, crossed the line, went into that next rhythm section, and sort of just sat on top of one of the jumps there. And I think just about every rider came up and either shook his hand, gave him a hug, or just made it known that they were there for him and whatever else. And after that sort of happening, like you said, the crowd sort of found out what was going on, and you could see it on the TV coverage that everyone was like, oh, like that's just happened and he's just won. So I think, once all that happened, and, like you said, just the crowd getting around him and everything doesn't, might make the situation known, but it's still not ideal. But for him to go and do what he did on the weekend is big props to Dino.
Yeah, no, well done. And if we move on from that, that terrible part of the story, the fact that first, I think it was the first moto of the weekend on the Saturday night, that first lap or second lap, he was off the track and dropping back to about 10th or worse, and still managed to come through the pack and get the win in a very short race. Dino's on another level, despite the fact, and I asked him this on press day, I thought he was going to be a little bit physically underdone or physically, reduced in terms of still battling through some knee injuries, and I'd forgotten that he's still been battling with that back bulging disc that he talked about. Now, bulging disc is an interesting term. I'm not going to bring that up here, but in a physio land, somebody's going to shoot me for that one. But yeah, we'll move on. But yeah, he's dealing with some stuff, but it didn't look like it. He's dealing with physical issues. He's dealing with the mental, emotional aspects of what happened with his family. And on track, he was amazing.
Yeah, and I think his biggest pro for him is that he's so good in the whoops, so much quicker than the rest of them. Everyone else is pretty close speed-wise to the rest of the track, but as soon as you get into that section, it's just 2-3 bike lengths each time he goes through it, and then he's gone out the other side. So
I'm so glad you brought that up. I've got a video that I'm going to put out tomorrow. I'm going to edit it a little bit just to chop it up neater. But I've got a video. I was watching Dino in that... what was it? It was when Cloudy was in front of him at some point. It must have been on Heat Ray, one of the motos. I can't remember which one now. They've all blurred in. It was on the... Must have been it was Saturday night, because I was standing on the roof of the... They actually have a staircase that goes up onto the roof of the boxes that we were sitting in to watch from, which is the referee and the coaches boxes on the opposite side to the broadcast, where they're doing the broadcasting stuff from for the TV. So we're standing up there, and I got a video, and I was watching Dino come through the whoops and pass people like they're going backwards, and I'm like, I'm watching Luke Clout, and I'm like, his whoop speed is killing him. He's catching him. I'm like, this lap, Dino's going to blow past him, and he's probably got 20 meters on him as they're coming into that section of the track. And I'm like, pull the phone up, hit the record, and sure enough, Dino blew past him like he was going backwards. So the whoop speed of a guy who once got, podiums in AMA Supercross 450 class and won plenty of 250 class Supercrosses is clearly better than an Australian guy who's won a few Supercrosses and wants a motocross national title. There is a massive difference in the speed of the whoops for Dean Wilson versus the rest of the field.
Yeah, there's a big difference, and it was talked about a bit last year with our Australian riders and international riders and the way that we're hitting whoops and stuff. So there's a gap that needs to be minimised, but at the same time, it's just Dino's unbelievable in the whoops.
I got to say, I make an observation, pretty good observation, and obviously I can end up in this similar sort of situation as what Danny Ham found himself in last year here with this sort of comment that's about to come out. But I was watching plenty of our guys, like all the riders on the weekend, entering the whoops, and there was that double before, and there was that sort of transition section where they could set themselves up to hit the whoops, and so many of them you could see shut the throttle and coast and then try to build speed on the second whoop, and that ain't getting you anywhere in a hurry. You've got to hit the deck and just go for it, and that's exactly what Dean Wilson was doing. I'm not saying I'm capable of doing it, but I reckon I could have a fair crack at it. I used to be all right in whoops, but that's where our guys lack. They just shut the throttle. And when I asked Luke Cloud about it that night after Saturday night, he just said it was purely confidence. And it's got to be, because they're all just not confident enough to go, I'm going to still be on the bike by the end of these whoop sections if I hit it faster at the beginning. They just don't have that confidence, it seems.
Yeah, but I didn't, on the coverage, I didn't notice it as much, but you may have seen it. I didn't see many people jumping though. Between the classes, there was not too many anyway. Yeah, not too many. I was surprised. A lot of the 85s were doing it, but there was a fair chunk of the 85s that actually tried the skim as well, and then they weren't able to really get on top of them as well as they probably would like. But yeah, there's a lot of skimming, but there was also then, and you probably noticed this on the coverage, a lot of people going over the berm at the end of that whoop lane. Yes, there seem to be plenty of that.
I wonder, and I don't know the measurements here, but it did look like that berm was rather close to that final whoop, and whether that was just maybe 3 meters too close, I don't know. But yeah, there was something about the way that last, and a lot of them were missing. I think it was like it ended up being 9 whoops, by the way. When we talked, and let's bring this up in a second, but the track map was not what was actually built, by the way. But the track map had 11 because I brought it up on the show last week. But they ended up being only 9 on the track, and that included the starter whoop. So technically there was only really 8 whoops. But at about whoop 7, so many of them were missing that one. So I think that one actually was maybe a slightly lower, and they were putting their front over it, and that was causing them all to sort of drop and skip off the 8th and 9th and just, see you later over the berm.
Yeah, and I think at one stage someone went over the berm, and I think the 32nd board girl was actually sitting behind it with someone else.
Yep. Caleb Barham nearly smoked that blonde. It was ridiculous. Like, I actually was standing on the backside, saw the whole damn thing, and he was probably within half a metre of just, having as they say, a new bonnet ornament, because he went around there completely sideways and she was covered in dust and whatever else he threw on top of her as he went past her, because she was not happy when when the dust settled down. She was not a happy camper.
Oh, that's all right. I don't blame her. It would have been scary, scary both for him and her probably.
Well, he probably didn't realise she was there, to be honest. But yeah, I pointed it out to a few people standing in the crowd near where I was taking shots from after the fact, and they're all like, oh, like, didn't see her, Nobody saw her. He didn't see her. But anyway. But yeah, track map. Let's get on the track map. There was an over-under bridge on the track map. There was 11 whoops on the track map. There was a couple of 45-degree turns on the track map. None of that was there. And I don't know why.
I think we talked about this last year. I think every track map we had last year was completely different to what was built on the actual day.
Well, the only thing I can come up with, and this goes back to exactly what I said last week on the show, and I feel like I'm actually getting some consistency here with like points that are running throughout, the show in a series. But I said at the start, they need to build the track a day earlier, because when we did this last week, they had only just begun the build. And when we got there for press day, they hadn't finished building the track. There was a whole, I think they had from if you went down the start straight and turned left, you had those next 2 rhythms and the triple. And they just started building that after the triple down that other side of the venue. They hadn't finished the rest of it. So there was no way that they could ride press day. All we rode on press day was the triple. They literally lined up, I think it was 9 guys, and had them jump the triple each maybe 4 or 5 times. That's it. Pro Supercrosses just chucking whips off the Supercross triple. Sick.
Yeah, it definitely needs to. Yeah, I'm not sure. Did they not have enough dirt? Did they just not have enough time because they started late?
It's purely time. It's got to be time. Like if you've got an over-under bridge on there, that's probably half a day to build that. Like literally, like to bolt it together. Not to mention ramping up and over with dirt. And if you're short of time, what's the first thing that's going to disappear from a track?
Over-under.
Makes sense, doesn't it? So,
well, I think going back to Wollongong last year when we turned up on press day, that was like one of the first things that was built. Was like one of the only things that was built, I'm pretty sure.
I'm trying to remember, because I know they were driving the tipper trucks still in and out of there, doing a big U-turn there in the middle still. So was it? Maybe it was, but yeah, like they've either decided that that's got to go in last, or they already knew from the moment they started putting it down that they were going to be behind and they just scrapped it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So something's astray here. Like either they've approved 2 track maps per venue and they've put one out on the socials and they're building the other one as the backup plan if things go short, or they've just completely, whoever's designed that put those track maps up on the socials was not talking to the other side of the business. I don't know. There's something odd here, because let's have a next week when we do the show ahead of Cronulla. Let's really pay attention to what the track map is and what we end up actually racing on, because I dare say it's going to be very similar again.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to do a deep dive on this.
We're just gonna have to have a consistent run. Let's just put it in the notes each show week. Track map versus actual.
Yeah.
All good. Well, look, let's move on to the banging and crashing that went on the weekend. There was plenty of it. There was actually a couple of comments, and I think it was Austin, our American mate, in our group chat that said that the series was actually pretty entertaining from the fact that there was plenty of crashes, basically, and people running into each other. But poor old Phil Nicoletti found out pretty quickly that this isn't Canada.
Yeah, I think Austin was on the money. The passes were aggressive, sometimes over aggressive. The amount of crashes and people hitting each other was ridiculous. From the first corner to the last corner, like on the last lap, was just banging bars pretty much the whole time. Everyone was, they were all for themselves.
Do you see the little pissy moment that Alex Larwood had when Wilson Todd passed him in the last corner? Tried to kick him in the back tire. I was laughing at that. That's not really going to do anything, Alex.
Yeah, and it's Reeves probably not really happy with that, but it ended up on the socials and everyone saw it, and I suppose it's good exposure in one way, but it's not a good look for himself to be doing that. No,
but poor Phil, like I said, this isn't Canada. He's just come off the Canadian National Championship win and decided to come and do Australian Supercross. Probably has had hopes of doing rather well, and first heat race, first lap? Gets completely dropped by Luke Clout. Not massively intentional, talking to Luke afterwards, but there's some aggression in it in terms of trying to move through the pack. And and then he gets basically taken out in one of the mains by, it was the first main, wasn't it? He was running third, fourth, trying to pass Dylan Walsh. Dylan Walsh just shows him the top side of the exit of the berm. Down he goes. It was a rough night for Phil Nicoletti.
Yeah, well, we talked about it in the group chat. We were sort of stirring each other up. We all know what Phil's like, and we all sort of said, how long does it take till Phil gets the throat slit emotion out? And I don't think it took long.
It definitely did, and everybody's probably seen that video of him walking up to Luke in the pit and giving him a piece of his mind, but I have a feeling that as much as Luke was tongue-in-cheek before the season about the internationals coming over and stealing all the Aussies' money, I have a feeling that Phil hasn't taken too kindly to that. He's been playing politely in the public eye, let's say. But now that that's happened too, I feel like Phil's got one coming for Luke at some point, especially now that Luke is probably out of the championship after night 2 there in Redcliffe and that start crash that happened. I feel like Phil's going to pay him back at some point. And I thought it was coming at one point. There was a point they were sort of close, mid-pack, but then it didn't really materialise. But, it's coming at some point.
Yeah, and it's, I think it's, as much as I think it was an accident sort of, it doesn't matter. He's not going to forget about it. And if he's got the opportunity, he'll show him who's boss.
Now, speaking of Luke Clout and entertaining sort of nights, and not necessarily in a good way, and nights plural, Luke started out as the Great Australian Hope. He's been definitely plugged by AME as the Aussie, that we're going to promote the most for the championship. He got all the attention in the press conference on the Friday. He's on the pre-show carrying the Aussie flag out. Everyone's, he's the one. He qualified well. He tried to race well in the heat, went down, managed to come back to third. He's definitely got the speed. Was doing similar things from a average start in the first race on the Saturday night. Managed to take down Tanti from the outside on the whoops. That was insane. And I don't know if you realise, Benny, but it looked because I watched back those first motos on TV, and on the TV they said it was Tanti that ran into Luke. It was definitely the other way around from in the stadium and the photos that I've got. But what a crazy weekend for Luke Clout that culminated with basically him on the deck at the start of, was it Moto 1 Sunday, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, Moto 1 and Moto 2, both.
True.
He was on the ground at no fault of his own, which is disappointing. Of course, I'm a little bit biased because I'm a Clout fan. You know that. But
well aware. Yeah.
you know, for everyone going, for all the Aussies going for him, it's pretty disappointing after, getting a good finish Saturday night to then, basically completely out of the championship now, barring a miracle. It's pretty disappointing, and especially when it's, no fault of his own. He did make a mistake, I think, in the second moto coming back through. I think he nearly went over the berm at one stage I saw on the TV. But, to be on the ground, you get frustrated, you're trying to fight back. It's, mistakes then happen after that.
Yeah, it's never really going to go well, especially at the rate that he tried to come through the field because of the shorter duration motos. So, it didn't work out well. Surprisingly, on the Saturday night when I got that post-race interview with Luke Clout, he was still quite upbeat, even though he had a bit of an average night. Points-wise, he wasn't too far down. But then, obviously what happened on Sunday, I didn't talk to him, but I saw him leaving the venue and, sort of went to say, hey, chin up sort of thing. And he just sort of beeline straight out of the place. Like, he was not making eye contact with anybody. He was just heading out. Look, we'll see what the attitude is like come Cronulla for Luke. But, like you said, he basically has to win out pretty much to try and make up some of these points now that Dino's gone 4 for 4. So, and I don't like we just mentioned about his whoop speed versus Dino, I don't like his chances of just, beating him in every single moto. It's going to have to be some other things that play into the cards here to help him out. Yeah,
and I think, he always goes into the New South Wales round, being Wollongong last year, Cronulla this year, it's sort of like his home race in a way, which he mentioned. So I think it's, he gets some good vibes and, he's ready to go, but it's got to be frustrating. So just have to see, hopefully, he's got the clear head. He'll be quick again, no doubt. But, just those whoops and start. Like, he's a good starter. He was nearly in front both times and just got hit from behind or from beside. So hopefully Cronulla's a lot better. Yeah,
let's see what happens when we get there. But, he's going to have to do something special on that Empire Kawasaki to make up what he's lost out in those opening two races. 2 rounds, I should say. Let's talk about something different here for a second. Noticed some safety changes to the series this year when we were there at the media sign-on. We had a little briefing on the track, and as well when the track walk was going on. They have some new wireless pads. They essentially look like those kickboxing rectangular pads that you would, somebody would hold and you'd punch. But they had lights in them, and they're wireless, and they're connected to just, buttons that they can set off, and they got 3 different lights. So that's an interesting one. They're not mounted. They just literally stand them up on the track somewhere, and that way if you hit them, you're just landing on a pad, basically, which is awesome. So that's a pretty good change. The other thing was that we had some nets, but the nets themselves weren't necessarily that great, I felt. The ones in the States have padding on the poles. These ones were just exposed fence poles. So I'm not so keen on that. But then also the way that they'd set them up, and I don't know if you saw this on the coverage, Benny, but the one that was at the on the long rhythm before the whoop section. So there was that bowl turn at the end there, which was right next to the start line. Everybody that went over that berm and had to go around the back of that net, when they come back onto the track, they had to duck between the edge of the start framing and the net. And Wilson Todd managed to go through there and jam his bars at warp speed in the net and just throw himself back on the deck. So, and get trapped there. I think Todd, Tanti, one of them stuck their bars in the netting, and it didn't go well for them.
Yeah, I didn't see that on the TV. I think it's good though that they've tried to update the safety a bit. Do the padded lights have, well, the pads with the lights in them, are they yellow, blue? Like, do they have?
They had
Are we
white
using them instead of flaggers, or
to add to the flaggers. So they had white, they had yellow, and they had blue in it. But they were only, these are being under test still as well. So they're not completely, fully in action at just yet. They were just still sort of working on whether they were actually going to be good to see. So there was a bit of testing going on. But yeah, you're right. The safety improvements, they need to happen. Good that they're happening. But yeah, we just need to get a few more of them in place and maybe a bit more thought out, like some pad on the pole would be good.
Yeah, that would be a very hard job watching, like obviously working with the flaggers, but then doing yellow flag, blue flag, because I've actually done the lights at our local kart track.
Okay.
And doing like obviously yellow, then blue when the flaggers are coming, but then you've not only got one section, you've got the whole track. And if that person hasn't moved, then you've got to switch blue light from section 1 to section 2 to section 3, while also looking at yellow flag, on the other side of the track or anything. It's really hard.
Yeah.
So whoever has that job, I don't envy them.
Yeah, look, it's like you're pointing out, it's a great concept, but it's going to take some manpower and some man training to get familiar and get it done well. So let's see where it goes. Hopefully it progresses, but I think it's going to be more of a use of like full course, full course yellow or something for like when they're doing parade laps and stuff like that. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully it develops. But anyway, that's where they got to. SX2, Lux Turner, pretty good weekend for him. We'll just cut that section out once we get going. But SX2, Lux Turner. Pretty good weekend for the American. He came over. He's got a couple of race wins. Got a fourth and I think another podium in there somewhere. Championship lead, red plate, the number 9, Lux Turner.
Yeah, I don't think he can complain with the weekend he had. He probably expected himself to come and do that, but putting it, I guess we say pen to paper, is a bit difficult. But yeah, to come away with the red plate, the results that he had, not long over here, you got to be pretty stoked with that. Well,
I don't know if he expected to do it, because when we interviewed him after Saturday night and then seeing him on the coverage Sunday night as well and seeing him leaving the pits, he was super pumped. Like, he was happy, man. Like, like he'd just sort of done something he wasn't expecting to do. He probably came in thinking he could, podium it, but I don't know if he came in here thinking he was going to win. And yeah, he was happy. He was over the moon.
Yeah, and it's good to see. I'm not sure, how much he has won overseas, if anything. But I guess that winning feeling's got to be pretty good too. And then, to probably be better than what his expectations were. No doubt it's got to be a good feeling. No,
definitely. He put on a good show. The interesting issues for Shane McElrath were probably more of the talking point of the weekend, but that very first moto of the Saturday night, coming together with a couple of riders in the first corner and completely pancaking a right foot peg. It was nothing worth standing on, and that what ruined that first moto and any chance that he had to come through the pack, because he couldn't stand on his bike. Don't know if you've seen the video. I think you did, that I put up this afternoon, Benny. Got a picture of that peg. Got the full explanation from Shane in our post-race interviews. And Shane was a legend for us on the weekend. Gave us 3 interviews actually across the weekend, one each day. Happy to talk to us, happy to fill us in what's going on. Probably not going to see him at round 3, but...
Yeah, he's pretty good. He was good last year in Melbourne and Wollongong as well, which I like. If the people are open, then he doesn't hide anything. He's very open and lets you know what's going on. So yeah, if he's if he's not there next weekend, which is more than likely, it's a bit disappointing and probably disappointing for some of his fans. But to try and ride like that's not ideal at all.
No, just put ruined his weekend basically, because he saw what he was capable of in that second moto on the Saturday night. He just got out in front and did what he did. But then, more issues on Sunday, just getting caught up in random things. Not what he expected, and then telling us that he was struggling with the track to get through. I feel that there's a point with Shane, and maybe he turns this around in World Supercross with this 250 class, but the back and forth that he's been doing in recent times from 450, because he has to run 450 in the AMA, to now 250 back for the Aussie stuff, there's just a point where those first few weekends he needs more time on a 250 to be more familiar with it before he gets to that opening round of racing. And maybe he needs to stop dropping back and forth. Maybe he just needs to commit 450 100% of the time. I don't know. He's too good of a rider to have happen on the weekend, just purely from not being familiar with the bike off the start line.
Yeah, and when you drop down from 450 to 250, there's a big difference on the start line. So trying to get all that right with limited time on that, like you said, switching over, not that long ago for on the 450 doesn't help. But to come back through the pack as he did on the nights after being behind is not a bad effort.
Yeah, not too bad, but big hole, and potentially at I think it was his sister-in-law's wedding when round 3 is on, so we're not going to see him there. We will see him again at World Supercross, and when that starts in November, and we'll see him in the Australian Supercross Series back for Melbourne. SX2, what else? Look, it was a bit up and down.
Do you think you're really sick of seeing 3 of his bikes on the ground at one time?
I guess you'd have to expect it now with the amount of bikes he puts out on track at once. Like, there is that side of things too. How many bikes has he got in that field? Would we count like 4 or 5? What do we got?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So we got the 2, Todd, Tiger, Alex, Shane. Am I missing someone? SX2?
I think we are. People will be yelling at the TV probably. If they're watching.
Anyway, but there's 4 in a field of 18 on a main event. My math isn't that good off the top of my head, but it's a fair percentage.
Yeah, it's not. You got to add. Did we add Shane to that? We just forgot about it.
No, I did say Shane. Yeah, that was 4.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I mean, it's bound to happen. I think the 2 Yamaha riders were on the ground at one stage as well together. It's when you have more than one rider in the team, I guess it's bound to happen. But when you've got as many as your Reeve does, it's going to happen probably more chance than the rest.
Now, speaking of, you just touched on something else I wanted to raise. The Yamaha Yamaloo riders, like obviously we talked about Lux Turner winning. Ryder Kingsford had a good but bad weekend, showed really good speed, just got a few issues along the way that sort of maybe impacted his overall result. But that moto, and I'm not sure which one it is, I think it was the second moto on Saturday night, Lux and Ryder were going at it. There is something to a rivalry there. I don't know if Ryder's stoked on the fact that an American's come in and potentially doing better than him or matching him in his Australian team. There's something to that because he was not wanting to give him an inch.
Yeah, I think he's been improving a lot in the last few years, and then you add Lux into that situation. It's probably not ideal for him. But he was fast. I think he had a crash Sunday night, which was a wild crash, but got back up and kept going. But he is fast. Just the mistakes that seem to get him a little bit.
Well, speaking of somebody who makes mistakes, but is fast, Jake Cannon on that Go 24 Penrite Kawasaki, leading on what was that, the heat race on Saturday night and threw it away and had Wilson Todd run into him. Probably should have done better on Saturday night in the overall standings, but then managed to get himself onto the podium on Sunday. Fast but crashy.
Yeah, and he rode well on the Sunday, but yeah, just you see with the 250 riders, they just make those few little mistakes when, if they just stayed up, they would have had a good result, and that's what hurts them. And in the championship, one result with our 5 rounds we've got is not ideal.
No, not at all. SX3, Benny. Poor guys have probably the worst schedule of all the classes to work out. They were on track at something like 4 o'clock in the afternoon for their heat race, and then weren't back on track for another 5 or 6 hours or something crazy. Like, it's insane the gap that they had between their heat race and their main event race in the night program. Can't be a good schedule, but it worked for Cade Kingsford. Came from nowhere in the heats. He didn't have the greatest of heat races. Pulled whole shots in the main events and led from start to finish in both of them. Pretty good, really.
Yeah, and I don't think we gave him enough credit when we did our championship picks, or I didn't, at least anyway. But just, gets out front and just goes with it, smooth, seems to be calm. And yeah, both nights just cleaned up, coming off, the same sort of performances in the outdoors. Yeah,
look, we should have seen more of it coming. I did consider him, but I just thought that the US import Ryder Malinowski was going to be better than he was, and he was during the day. He had everything going for him during the day sessions, but as soon as it came to the main event, his starts weren't there. The first night, he just got a bit of a wheelie partway down, had to drop, back off to drop the front, and that was enough for him to be mid-pack. And then he got caught up, I think he got caught up in a first lap crash on the second night in the start area there, and then just mistake after mistake trying to get himself back in a hurry through the field. And honestly, I feel like the short races, as soon as they make one mistake that's reasonable, these guys are redlining, panicking, trying to make up for it, and then just creating more mistakes. And that's what Ryder Malinowski's night was on Sunday. Just one big mistake in the end.
Yeah, and it's easy to do. And like you said, with a short race, there's no time really. And everyone, panics. They do it in 250s. They do it in, SX2, SX1. They all do it. And then, like you see, that's where the mistakes come through. And as I said before, you can't afford mistakes in a short series. No,
definitely not. 85 class, we'll just touch on it quickly, but the one man or one kid, depending on how you want to look at it, he's only tiny. There was one guy there that did it all. He's just come back from the MX of Nations doing the Yamaha Cup thing over there. Blake Bohannon killed it all weekend, and he's only had one day on Supercross leading up to Redcliffe. You would not have known it, apart from the fact that he was the one that was jumping the whoops every lap consistently, probably because he hadn't had any time to practice skimming.
He is fast.
Yeah.
There's not much else you can say. He's really fast. And I did hear an interview with Hunter on Pulp the other day, and Hunter said that's probably one of the next kids that, to watch out for is him. Went, like you said, did the Nations and then straight back to here. But yeah, he is fast.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's going to be one to watch as he grows, because he is only a tiny little kid in terms of his overall stature and build. There's nothing to him. So as he gets a bit bigger, he's going to be able to hold that bike down as he gets onto those bigger bikes. But yeah, in the state titles, the New South Wales state titles, he was the kid to beat. Supercross, he looks like the kid to beat as well. So could be a good series to watch. Surprising to see pretty much most of the field jump the Supercross triple and the finish line pretty much within 2 laps of practice starting. So that was pretty cool to see. They obviously had some troubles through different rhythm sections, but yeah, the kids were not scared to send those jumps. So that was pretty cool to watch at times.
Yeah, and it makes me feel little because I can't do those jumps. So it's it's crazy to see these young kids going out and just hitting those jumps with no problem.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. All right. Benny, you had some points you wanted to catch up on. Give us one off the top there. What have you got?
Well, this is thrown around in the group chat a little bit. The graphics on TV were not that great. The totem with the names and laps and all that sort of stuff on it. I think that needs a little bit of work.
It's a bit small for my liking to try and read, or at least it was when I'm watching on the phone. It doesn't come up very well. And correct me if I'm wrong, they had it later on the Saturday night program, but I didn't think it was there at the beginning. They didn't have a lap counter at the beginning.
Yeah, I think it was missing for the first little bit, and then they put it up. But yeah, some of the boys in the group chat, they were commenting on the fact that they had red arrows next to every name, so it just looked like everyone was riding a Honda. There was
awesome.
No blue, green, anything like that. We didn't show further than 11th from what I saw on the TV. But I think you said you saw 13th. So
yeah, the front 11, but they did scroll when there was a bit more. But I only saw that. Well, I only saw it on one occasion, so I don't know if they just did that by mistake or what they were doing. But yeah, we need to see the whole riders list for whatever was in each race that's on screen.
Yeah, so that was some of the comments that were thrown out. So it just needs a little bit of work, but that's all right.
Yeah, look, there are some parts to our series that could be used to improve, let's say. I do feel like there may be a couple of men and women short in the AME group there to get as much stuff done as they're trying to get done. They do a good job, but yeah, I feel like they could use a bit more manpower and women power.
Yeah, and it's a big what would you call it? It's a big entertainment package, I guess. So it's all happening on the fly as we're going. So that also makes it hard.
Did you watch many of the ads? Because I saw some of them. I purposely watched a few of them at the start of the first day's coverage before I started, fast forwarding. Did you think much of them? I felt they were a bit generic moto. There was not much thought put into them.
I can't say I think I just sort of zoned out when they were on, and then watching the replays, I think I just fast forwarded through everything. So I can't say I really paid too much attention.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe you can watch some next time. You can let us know. We'll come back to that. What else you got on that list of yours?
That scary crash in the first final for SX2.
Yes, you were showing me that one before. Yep.
Yeah, it's not. That's not an ideal thing to happen. Lucky that the boat. I think there was maybe some minor injuries, but yeah, it could have been, as we've seen in the past, a lot worse than what it was. Yeah,
well, we're going to do a very brief emergency department coming up in this episode, but yeah, I don't have all the details, so maybe before next round in next episode we'll have some more of that. But yeah, I believe Jack Byrne lands on Connor Adams in that race. And yeah, I don't think both of them aren't in great shape at the moment. So we'll get some more information from them soon. But yeah, that was not, anytime that sort of thing happens, it's not a good outcome for anyone.
No, and for it to, be shown on TV as well, and then sort of cut away, but then in the replay they showed it. It's probably not ideal for family and stuff to see that at home when, then they've got to wait for an update. They don't know what's going on. So it's, just one of those things.
Yeah, I get that, but it's entertainment purposes as well that they're showing to everybody else. So, yeah, it's tough. It's a hard situation to be in, that one, whether you do or you don't. So, yeah, anyway, hopefully they're both all right, but we'll find out. I'll try and find out some more information about them ready for next week's show. All right, what else is on the list?
That's about it with the racing. We've got Cole Thompson coming back to ride for Empire Kawasaki in the SX2 class, starting next weekend at Cronulla.
Yeah, that was a turn up.
Interesting call. Yeah.
Did not have that on my bingo card, but I did send him a message, and to Cole's credit, got the jersey just back here. To Cole's credit, straight away hit me back. Yep, got a last minute deal. Stoked, going to come down. He's still doing World Supercross for Buds, so it means he's only doing round 3 and 4 with Empire Kawasaki. But he can't wait to be here, so he gets here on Sunday.
Yeah, he's been pretty good with us interview-wise. When we go and see him in the pits, he's been good. So I think he actually said last year, we may not see him again in Oz Supercross, and he's like, no, probably not. So it's good that good that he's back, and we'll be able to catch up with him next weekend. Well,
that brings me to my next consistent point that we've been banging on about, the numbering system in Australia, Benny. What number is he going to run? Because he is technically second in the championship last year, so he should technically be able to run the number 2. But guess what? Wilson Todd, who didn't race in the SX2 last year or at all last year in Supercross, is running the number 2 currently without earning that. You know what?
Yeah, that was my first thought when I saw the post, was what number, because he's number 2. As you can see on the top behind you is number 2. That's his number. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, we have a issue in the numbering system that I think at some point, if I get the chance, I'm going to have to raise it with somebody at AME, because this is not cool. But good that we've got Cole Thompson coming back to the series. Just curious what number. Maybe he runs a 2C.
Maybe.
We'll see. Anyway.
Maybe he just comes out and runs triple digits, just the 222 or something like that.
You know what would be great if he just came out and ran the number 2 and just, to Wilson,
Yeah.
But
how good would that look in an Empire truck, a 2 and a 22 together with race Bud's bike? 2 and the 22 would look good together.
Actually, you've just reminded me, that has happened before in a Kawasaki truck. If you cast your mind back to 2010, Monster Energy Kawasaki, there was the 2 of Villapoto and the 2 of Chad Reed, and unfortunately in Supercross, neither of them were on the track at the same time more than twice, I think it was.
Yes, that is true.
So yeah.
So maybe it's a bad thing.
Maybe it's a bad thing. Let's see. Maybe that was just a one-time deal. But anyway, he's not going to be 2, I dare say. So curious to see what number he does run. Anyway, all right. Any other news, Benny? Should we?
No. Did you get your free Monster can? We talked about it last week.
Did you see the photo?
I did see the photo, but for the fans listening,
yes. Look, this is their reason to join the AlwaysMoto group chat. They just have to send you or I a message, and we could join them into that group chat on Instagram. But yes, I sent the group a little photo of me holding a Monster can, the OG flavor, on the Saturday. And I actually went back on the Sunday and got myself a Monster, I think it was a lemonade, Aussie lemonade or something it was called. Actually wasn't bad. But yes, I was well and truly hydrated with Monster Energy, and I needed it because it was a bloody long couple of days. Yeah,
well, I'm glad that you got it. Now you have to get, we'll have to get some at Cronulla.
Yeah, well, and the kids, my kids were there. Their cousins were there with us on Sunday as well. So there was myself, the wife Jen, we're doing all the photos and media sort of stuff. But we also dragged around 4 kids that were under 10, and they managed to steal as many Monster stickers off the Monster girls as they could. So they played a little bit of that sandbag, cornhole, whatever it's called. Got themselves a stack of stickers. So yeah, they're going around grabbing all the freebies from the pits. But yeah, we will both go and find that truck in Cronulla for sure.
Yes, we will. We will be there.
Yes, we will. All right, let's have a look at how bad our championship picks have gone, Benny. From we're only 2 rounds in, essentially 1 weekend. This is where we were at. you picked for the 450 or SX1 class Mitchell Harrison, and I picked Cedric Soubeyros. I'm not doing too bad, but you're doing worse. Mitchell Harrison didn't go so well in the end.
Yeah, I thought he would have done a lot better than what he did.
He was confident on Friday too. He was sneaky confident in the interviews. I thought he was on for a good one, but yeah, this isn't as easy as you think.
Well, I think I rang you after press day on Friday, and you said that just quietly he's confident, and I said, "Oh, my championship pick, confident. Hey, I like it." And then I was confident, and then it just didn't go. It
hasn't gone well so far. There's time. There's time to save this, but I don't think he's a champion at this point. I think we both should have went with the traditional Dean Wilson pick here. But anyway,
I think so.
All right, 250. You picked Brodie Conley. I picked Ryder Kingsford. Again, I'm not doing too bad, but mate, what happened?
My rider's not even there.
I think he did 3 or 4 laps in qualifying on Saturday, and that's all he's going to do for the entire Australian Supercross Championship, because he came in with a fractured wrist that he didn't know about until Monday, which we've posted about as well. So check out our Instagram for that update. But yeah, not good, mate.
No, but I just have to stick with that now. So I'm defeated already.
Yeah. Now, SX3, we both picked Ryder Malinowski. Now, Saturday night we're looking pretty good because he goes second. Sunday night we're not looking so crash hot.
No, and like I said before, I don't think we gave Cade enough credit. So there's still time. But it'll be interesting to see how that one ends. Yeah,
so we'll revisit these after each round. We won't do this each week because we'll just keep embarrassing ourselves. But each round, we'll revisit this and we'll have a little laugh at how poorly we've done with our pick here. But look, I'm a slight chance, but a very minor chance in my SX1 and SX2 picks. SX3, we have a chance, but he's got to figure out those starts. So we'll see where we get to. All right, anything else, Benny, before we take a break here, and I'll come back with the emergency department, but have you got anything else you want to drop into the show before you go?
Yes, I do, because I forgot to say this before. So on Saturday, I was watching and looking at the crowd, and you were there, and I thought there was some numbers missing after them selling that round out last year. And you told me they were all at the liquor stand or the burger stand.
Dude, you should have seen the queue to the bar. It was insane.
Then on Sunday, we're pretty much empty. Now, I reckon a lot of people, and it's about 5.5 million people, were sitting at home watching Bathurst. Do we think it's a good idea to, one, run that the same day that is on, but 2, are we just by that second day up there, are we just sort of over it unless you're a diehard fan?
Well, I'm going to start talking. What I want you to do, can you have a look on your computer? You got the computer open right now, haven't you?
Yep.
Do some research for me. Can you buy a 2-day pass to KO for this event? See if you can Google it. And I'm going to come back to that point. I'm going to start talking on the aspect of V8 weekend or Supercars weekend. It's the dumbest idea known to man, putting a motorsport event on that's not the Supercars on the same weekend as Mount Panorama. Are you insane? Do you not look at the calendar? Do you not consider what else is going on in your ether and think it's a great idea? I'm going to compete with the Supercars. Like you said, there was 5.5 million people watching that damn event around Australia, and you think you can get 5,000 people that are motorsport fans to Sunday race day on Bathurst Day? Not going to happen.
No.
But I will say, Saturday night was good. Saturday night's venue was great. You guys were carrying on, it was empty. It was not. Walking around, it was full, particularly when the start of the night show happened, when everybody came in for the show to start, it was full. Maybe not like capacity, sold out 10,000, but it would have been 9,000-ish, right? But when you guys started talking about it, I swear on anything, I don't do this sort of business, but I just did for some reason. And anyone
Shane will come for you. Just be careful.
Yeah, careful on that sort of stuff. But honestly, we walked out because we had to go from the top of the one side of the stadium down to different spots to take photos in between different races, and even just to go to the bathroom at one point during the night program. And fair dinkum, the line for the bar went across the one end of the stadium, up a staircase, across another walkway, down a staircase that like rotated on itself, and out and down towards the car park entrance. It was insane. These Queenslanders love their 4X, mate.
Yuck. Yuck.
There's no other way to explain it. I couldn't believe it. I looked at it and went, is that the line for the bar? Sheesh.
I know there would have been one person that was lined up for the toilets and not the bar.
Anyway, but yes, if we talk about that Sunday night, one, it should not be on Bathurst weekend, right? That is a dumb idea. As well as don't put it on the NRL Grand Final. One, because they're trying to obviously clearly use Mr. Toilet Water Drinking Recovery, recovery water man, Reece Walsh, who was there. Didn't get to see him at all in, close up. But they're trying to use these NRL stars to cross-promote, which is great. Fine, do it. But don't put it on the NRL weekend. Don't put it on Bathurst weekend. Depending on where MotoGP falls, which is actually this weekend, you've got a problem. Right, so you can't, those first 3 dates in October, pretty much you shouldn't be running an event on. The weekend that they've got Cronulla starting is when they should have had the first round and shorten up the time frame. We spoke about this last year in terms of the duration of the calendar, but they need to shorten it. They need to just have it 1 week off, on week, off, on week, in terms of to get the program done. They can't double up on that in terms of those other dates, because there's people going to those things that would normally buy a ticket to Supercross.
Yeah, and Cronulla weekend, the Gold Coast V8s are on.
That one's a little bit harder. Like, that one's a smaller market, but it's still important. But there's only so many weekends you can avoid, right? But you definitely shouldn't be on Bathurst. You shouldn't be on MotoGP in a Phillip Island, and you shouldn't be on the NRL Grand Final.
Yep. That's exactly right.
But to encourage that second night of tickets, and this is where, did you find anything in terms of the purchases there?
To purchase the 2-day ticket for, like, on KO?
Well, no. So, like, I don't know if they have them for the actual stadium, but could you buy a 2-day pass, or did you have to buy a full price Saturday and a full price Sunday ticket?
I think, because I can't go back now because it's finished. I'm pretty sure I had a look yesterday or the day before just to see. You should have been able to buy a 2-day pass, because normally, when we had Oz Supercross and World Supercross, because they were under AME basically, or SX Global, same sort of thing, you could buy a 2-day pass for that. So I can't see why they wouldn't have had that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to have a look and see if I can find.
I was trying to look on my phone, but I couldn't.
Yeah, you can. You can get a 2-day pass. All right, you can get a 2-day pass. So that was going to be my first point. One, there needs to be a 2-day pass. But two, there needs to be a bigger discount on the second or the 2-day pass aspect, or kids come free. Like they did that with a full paying adult thanks to that Reece Walsh promotion. But they've got to do something to bring in that second night. And I also wonder if the Sunday night, as much as it finished at 6 o'clock, whether it needs to finish an hour earlier, because the Queensland kids have school the next day, and they want those little kids to come in, and the parents won't bring them. Parents these days are not like when you or I were growing up, where they would take you out the night before, let you go all night and not worry about it, and you figure it out sort of thing. Parents these days are such routine-based sleep patterns that if little Johnny is going to be out, he can't be out that late, So we can't go to that event. It's got to be done earlier. So I feel like it needs to finish an hour earlier to encourage people to come through, which is not what I want to do because I want to see that Supercross under darkness. And unfortunately, if you bring it an hour early, it's going to be still sunlight. But if it means that they sell more tickets, good. But they've got to do something to encourage that second night or that second day of sales. Either they drop that price on that Sunday. Everyone who comes, everyone who buys, just every ticket that you get that you sell is a double day pass or something. You can only buy double day passes or something. I don't know, but they got to work something out.
Do we think with the addition of World Supercross on the Gold Coast, not that far away, do we think some people said, righto, we'll go Saturday and then we'll go to World Supercross instead of going both days?
Yeah,
that could probably factor into it.
Yeah, definitely. The only thing that saves that is that they're 6 weeks or so apart, so you do have the chance that it's in a different month in terms of if families are budgeting. It's a different month, but it is a lot of money to take a family to these events. So I do think that is a factor, and they've picked one over the other. And maybe the draw card of a Ken Roxon, an Eli Tomac, and whoever else is going there. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but the World Supercross list.
Cooper Webb, Tom Vial, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so those guys at Gold Coast that you've never seen before potentially. Yeah, it might be more of a draw card,
Yeah.
And it's only one night. It's all done, wrapped up,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, disappointing. That crowd on Sunday was disappointing. But I think heavy supercars influence there.
Yeah, I don't think, like we said, I don't think it's a good idea. But it's, it is what it is. It's done now.
Yeah, no, they've made a mess of that one. Unfortunately, it needs to be better. Or they can't be doing double headers if that's going to be the sort of attendance. It doesn't matter how cheap the venue is. You can't have people seeing, from the TV that many empty seats. It's bad look. Bad look.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Anything else? We finished there. We done. We're going to take a break.
That's it. That's it. We're done.
All right, let's take a break on the Always Moto podcast. We'll be back with the emergency department. All right, guys and girls, we are back on the Always Moto podcast. Thanks for sticking around. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much. Hit the like, hit subscribe. If you are listening on your podcast player, why aren't you watching? You could be doing both and or the other. So if you're on the Spotify, make sure you rate our app, the podcast on your app. 5 stars would be nice. It just helps us get out and about, and more people will find us, and then we'll be able to bring you more and more content. All right, let's get into the emergency department. The emergency department. All the injuries, all the gory details, and when they'll be back on track. It's the list you really don't want to be on. You don't want to be on this list, and particularly when a series starts, you don't want to be already on the list. And unfortunately, that's the case for a couple of people. Let's go through them. Unfortunately, Nathan Crawford, the number 3 on the KTM that would have been in SX1 class, missed round 1 and 2 with a bone bruise in the foot. He was dragged out onto the starting, the pre-show efforts. He was in gear, he was riding out there, but he wasn't racing. He's hopeful of being back for round 3. We'll see how that plays out, but at this stage, not a great start to the Supercross season for him. Likewise, for the number 88 on the Honda in the SX2 class, Brodie Connolly. If you haven't seen our Instagram, YouTube short video that we've got up on him, we did an interview with him on Sunday before the racing started. He attempted to ride after having a crash the week before. Had a bruised and swollen wrist. Attempted to ride qualifying. He did on Saturday. He rode about 3 or 4 laps, put in some times, put himself in the night show, but didn't come out for the night show. He wasn't able to. Too much pain, not enough strength. He went and got some scans. It's now confirmed he has a fractured scaphoid. He'll be having surgery, and he will likely be out for the rest of Supercross, meaning that his 2025 season is done. Moving on, unfortunately, some injuries on the night. Not great. We had Reed Taylor go down, unfortunately, in one of the mains there on the Saturday night, I believe. I think it was the second main. Lux Turner came across him at the end of the whoops, making a pass on him. Reed had nowhere to go, went down, unfortunately has broken a wrist. Haven't been able to catch him as yet in terms of details on that. We'll talk about some of these injuries more on next week's show, but it seems like Reed Taylor's Supercross season might be over as well. Who else? We've got, like we mentioned earlier in the show, Jack Burns, number 12 in SX2. Connor Adams, the number 19 SX2. Unfortunately, Jack landed on Connor, and they are both injured again. Don't have details on them as yet. Check back on them next week for their injury updates. Zach Watson, unfortunately, that Rising Motorsports KTM rider, also went down, has broken a wrist as well, we believe. He will also likely miss the rest of the Supercross season. And Brock Flynn was a pre-season injury. I believe he was going to be either SX3 or SX2. I'm not sure, but he was on the 250 Yamaha. Unfortunately, pre-season crash has left him with a fractured T3 vertebrae. Now, that is not pleasant. He seems to be okay in terms of spinal cord aspects from what I read on his update, but he has a long recovery ahead of him, and he won't be participating in Supercross, I dare say, this season. So a bit of a short update there, but there was plenty of crashes, so there's possibly a few others that we haven't caught up with since the round on the weekend, or the rounds, plural. So we'll check out more. We'll have, like I said, a bigger update ahead of Cronulla in round 3 on next week's show. All right, we're going to switch over to our interview with Seth Burchell. So we'll get to that, and then we'll be back to close out the show. All right, we've got another interview this week on the AlwaysMoto podcast. It's brought to you by TechnicsMotorsport.com. He's riding the WBR Bulk Nutrient Yamaha. It's the number 18, Seth Burchell. How are we doing, Seth?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks.
That's the way, mate. How have the recovery gone from Redcliffe? There's a double header there. How's the body? How'd you pull up this week?
I'm doing just fine. Bit grazed up. I had a bit of a tip over in the race 2 on the Sunday, but other than that, I'm pretty good. Was
that what I noticed on the elbow before when you were sort of moving your arms around? Is that the gash there?
Yeah. I came together with Caleb Borum in the race 2, so wasn't ideal, but yeah, it's part of it.
Yeah, look, it was a bit of a from anyone outside of the Australian scene. Like I got a couple of comments from some of the American followers that we have saying it was a really entertaining and bit of a bash and crash sort of weekend on the coverage. There was a lot of action in terms of people bumping into each other, lots of crashes. So yeah, you've obviously got caught up in that at some point.
Yeah, no, it was carnage. It felt like every lap you'd turn a corner, you'd see yellow flags and someone down at some point. But no, it seemed pretty good for the fans. A lot of entertainment, as you can see, but yeah.
Yeah, not so good for some of the riders that have gone down injured, and we've got quite a list of those at least. So at least you only got some, superficial wounds, let's say. So you can recover from those pretty quickly, which is good. But result-wise for yourself...
Yeah, pretty happy to come in.
Yeah, result-wise for yourself, you got an 11.10 at round 1 and a 7.12. You're currently 11th in the championship for the SX2 class. Is that sort of what you were hoping to do? You've obviously made the step up this year. Was that good, bad? Where are we at?
I kind of came into it not knowing where I stacked up. Because, as you say, a lot of imports come over. I kind of didn't know where I stacked, so... I kind of came in blind. I knew how I can ride. I'm not overly mad about a top 10 both nights, but I know I got a bit more in me, which I'm hoping to show in the rest of the series.
Yeah, obviously round 1, there's a lot more energy in the room, let's say, on the start line for everybody. So there's a little bit more passion and crashing and sometimes some results can be a little bit elevated, some can be a little worse. So you've fitted in a reasonable range. I don't see that being a bad situation, but obviously you've got plenty of room to improve on. You're only young at this point. Like we said, you've just stepped up from the SX3 class. You're last year's SX3 champ. So did you notice much difference in terms of like competition or the schedule? Was it a bit heavier load for you?
Massive. It's a lot different. First of all, we get a lot more track time, which is good. I feel like that suits me a lot better. And just the competition itself, it's so different. Like everyone just races you way more harder. a lot more aggressive. It feels like every corner I take, I see a fender in the corner of my eye going up the inside of me. So, yeah, it's a lot different. But I feel like it's good for me. I learn a lot in the weekend. And I'm really looking forward to learning more. And yeah, and longer races too. 2 races last year. We only got 1, and we were like in and out really. So yeah.
Yeah, the SX3 class, I can't remember where the schedule was last year, but obviously just looking at it, what happened this weekend at Redcliffe's, they had probably a rough deal in terms of how far apart it was from when they were last on track in the afternoon for their heat races to when they were actually on track in the night show for their one race. It was a big gap. But now with what you're doing in terms of SX2, you're back end heavy in terms of a lot of it's in that night show, isn't it? In terms of your heat race, your LCQs, you got the 2 motos now. So yeah, you've doubled, maybe tripled your effort on the day physically.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy to not make the LCQ. So
it's a good start. Yeah,
like we got. Yeah, I mean we got a big gap between qualifying and our heat race. But then as soon as the night show came, our heat race and our mains were just pretty much back to back to back, which was go, go, go. And it was pretty warm up there at Redcliffe too. So it was pretty tough trying to stay cool and stuff. But yeah.
Did you learn anything in that recovery side of things that you could eat or couldn't eat in that time, or did you have like a blow up pool for the heat side of things to get cooled off? What did you do anything crazy like that?
No, pretty much just wet towels around your neck and your head. Yeah. And yeah, staying hydrated, a lot of electrolytes. Because you sweated a lot out there inside the stadium. I felt it was pretty hot.
What did you think of the venue up there? Like, obviously you've been there before. Do you like that KO stadium? It's a bit of a smaller, I wouldn't say rural, but like not a main city sort of stadium. Do you like that venue that we go to, and do you like the fact that it's a double header?
Yeah, well, last year I loved it.
Helps when you do well in there, is that right?
I got double victories last year, like how Kingsford raced on the weekend. He got double victories. But it was it was a lot different. Like starting off with the dirt, it was completely different. It got pretty slippery towards the main event side of things, and it was quite rough. Like ruddy in the rhythm sections in qualifying too on the first day. But other than that, I like it. It's pretty good. Fans. It's awesome. They get around us during race time. You can hear them when you're racing as well. So, no, I like KO Stadium. It's been pretty good.
Yeah, I was impressed. It was my first time there. I obviously watched it in the past, but yeah, first time in person. The Saturday night side of things was really good. The crowd support and that, and the seat filling was awesome, but I felt they needed to do something a little different to try and draw in a few more people for Sunday, because it was a bit skinny in the crowd. But from your side of things, the track and stuff, what you mentioned there about it being slippery, I gather that shine that came up on the track in the main sort of time of the night, it must have been really slick on that main line, because it just looked like a shiny clay at that point, and like you weren't actually biting into it, you're just basically running over the top of it.
Yeah, some sections where you'd catch you off guard, especially like main 2, we wouldn't get the sight lap. So like first lap is kind of like you're going in blind. Like after the triple, you'd hit that double like on an angle.
That 90-degree one.
Yes.
Yeah, that caught out Tanty there really well at that point, didn't it?
Yeah, a few people I've seen like Cannon went down there in the heat race too, but and then other parts were like pretty tacky as well. Like some corners were pretty tacky. Then the rhythm sections, like the corner after the finish was like ice really. You're fighting it all night.
That was an interesting corner, like obviously being a complete flat corner, but you're coming down from a big decent landing and having to stop pretty much on the spot to make that corner, make the inside of it at least. There was a bit of action in that corner too. It didn't really play out in a nice sense, that part of the track.
Yeah, it was a tough corner. It was kind of had to tiptoe your way around. It felt like, and I felt it was a good corner for passing as well, because everyone would they'll try to set themselves up for the flat corner after landing, and it's a quite easy section to go straight up the inside, as you've seen some riders do. But yeah, it made for some pretty good racing as well.
So you're looking forward to the next couple of rounds? Do any of them stand out as more favourite venues for you? Or are they closer, or are they just, obviously Marvel's a bit of a massive one as well in our schedule, but any of the ones coming up you're looking forward to?
Cronulla next weekend. I'm really looking forward to that. That's pretty much my home race. I'm from Western Sydney, so got a few friends and family coming out to watch. Heard it's meant to be pretty packed stadium as well, so it should be a good night of racing. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. It's obviously it's a different venue for us. It was the first time that Supercross has gone there. But two, anytime, somewhat I can drive to that, within an hour or so, it's great. So it's always helpful. So you just mentioned there that you're from Western Sydney. What part are we out there?
Penrith.
Oh, look out. I grew up out there. I'm not there anymore, but yeah, nice. That's good spot for you. The Western Sydney.
Yeah, small world.
Yeah, no, definitely. So whereabouts are you training and stuff then? Obviously there's not massive amounts of Supercross tracks in Penrith area. You're going to probably have to be driving here to be hitting a training track. Where are you heading out to?
It's all private tracks.
Yep.
There's a few up in the Newcastle area, Wollongong, south and north really, and there's none in Sydney. So you're either driving 2 hours north or 2 hours south. So, but there is a few in New South Wales in general. So I feel like New South Wales is pretty good for Supercross, but it lacks at the motocross side of things.
Yeah, it's okay in all aspects, but it's not the Queensland seems to be where it's at in terms of most of the guys seem to head up that way nowadays when they're full professional, that's the life they live in sort of thing for that, period of race career. But yeah, there's tracks around in New South Wales that it can't be discounted, but yeah, there's not many in your backyard there. So you are going to have to do a bit of traveling to get to the practice track. So I gather, you mentioned when we were trying to set up this interview that you're at work today. So I gather you're not going practice training too often. It's maybe a weekend thing for you?
This year it's weekends. I do work 5 days as a dogman during the week. Last year was 3 days when I won my championship, but this year I've got to make some money on the side, so I'm doing that for now and trying to prove myself at the same time and hopefully make it a full-time gig for next year.
Yeah, right. How old are you, Seth?
I'm 19.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, look, you're right in that window where you want to be trying to make it either solidifying the finances one way or another, whether it's racing or a full-time job. So, yeah, you're in that window of which way do you go. But, yeah, nice to see that you're actually putting in effort both ways, if that makes sense, in terms of having the job, not just, waiting around for something to happen too on the moto side of things. You're out there working it.
Yeah, I feel like it's good. Got to have something to fall back on if, all things don't go to plan. I kind of idolize Aaron Taney in that aspect because he actually has an apprenticeship in aircon, I believe it was. He's qualified, so I feel like I've tried to follow his path. That's also why I run 18 too, because I feel like I wanted to be his old number.
There you go. Yep, nice. I like the links. Yeah, it's good. You got to have someone to sort of not mirror yourself off, but give yourself a purpose to try and chase and think that they did it well enough. I could do the same thing. So yeah, it's good to have that target. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to see that it can be done. Having a job and he's made it. He's MS1 champ. And he's racing for one of the best teams in the world, arguably. So, it's definitely someone I look up to. He's a great rider and a great person as well off the track.
So how hard has it been a dogman during the week? Are you getting up early for start at 6 a.m. or something, or what are you doing? How physically demanding is it for you?
It's not too physically demanding. But you do get your big days. It is early. Most of the time it's 5:30 start.
Yep.
But before that, I'm in the gym at 4 a.m. with a mate, Corey Hammond, who won Fink this year.
Oh, yeah.
He's kind of helps me on the off the bikes and mental training kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah. So pretty busy schedule.
Yeah, I bet. If you're trying to 4 a.m., yeah, we're going to have to let you get to bed shortly. We're doing this about 7:30. It must be, what time's bedtime? It must be about 8.
Yeah, well, I won't lie, it's around 9 to 10. I should be getting more sleep, but yeah, it definitely is hard getting up at that time, but it's all mental. It's how bad you want it.
No, definitely. On that too, I guess if you're trying to make this a little bit of a career out of this and obviously trying to get some finances up, is there a bit of a goal to maybe take this overseas at some point and having to pay for some of this your own way to get started, or what's on the future wish list in terms of where you're riding in the next few years for Seth Burchell?
Well, next year I'm really for Supercross this year is kind of prove myself that I can run with these top guys, and hopefully score myself a team ride for next year. That's the goal, and have a proper dig at it next year full time and have a good crack at it, and then see where I end up. I really want to do well here before I go anywhere. So yeah, that's kind of the goal. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, we're off on the right foot for SX2 so far. Like we said, 11th in the championship. We've got 3 rounds to go, but we've kicked off 2 already. It's a short series, so got some work ahead of you in terms of Cronulla, Melbourne, Adelaide. Anything you're particularly working on before we get to those 2 rounds? Obviously, there's not much time before Cronulla. We're only 10 days or something away. Anything you're you've got to fix up before you get there? Bike setup, personally, taking a floaty with you to the pool or something for the week.
Starts are definitely key. They're 2 8-lappers, so it's kind of over before you even know it. And also more aggression in my riding. I was kind of getting thrown around out there and wasn't giving it back. So I'm looking at trying to be a bit more aggressive and showing that, I want to be up there as well.
You need to be one of the ones showing the fender to people, not being the one showing the fender. So
yes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, nice. No, all good. Well, look, Seth, we appreciate you making some time for us tonight. We hopefully, you can still get to sleep and get up at 4 a.m. for the gym and everything and work. But nice to hear a little bit about what's going on in the back of your program there as well. And yeah, look, good luck at Cronulla. We'll come see you in the pits, and I've still got a few more photos to go through, so I'm sure I'm going to probably send you a couple more just yet. But yeah, nice to have you on the show, mate.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right, guys and girls, we are back. We're going to close out this show. Thanks for Seth Burchell for being on the show. I really appreciate the short notice of him jumping on and giving us his time to tell us a little bit about his program. Awesome to catch up with him. The number 18 will be out on track. Look for him in the SX2 class at Cronulla. Home race, like you said, he's from Western Sydney. It's as close as it gets for this series this year. So get out there, Sydney people, support a local rider in Seth Burchell. All right, upcoming events that are up on the schedule this weekend, 18th, 19th of October, we've got the New South Wales Off-Road Championship. It's an enduro cross at Appen Motorsport Complex there in Campbelltown area. I'll be there. I'll be participating as the commentator for the live stream that will be happening. So that'll be awesome. Big weekend for me. The following weekend, it's round 3 of the Boost Mobile Australian Supercross Championship presented by Monster Energy. It's round 3, 25th of October there in Cronulla. On this Sunday, Australian Postage Bike Grand Prix at Cessnock on the 26th of October. Same weekend, Armidale Motorcycle Club has a grass track round on round 1 and 2, Saturday and Sunday, 2-day event up there in Armidale for that. It's a very good club there. Get yourself out there if you have that free weekend and you're in the area. And then Shortly after that, the following weekend, World Supercross is going to kick off. Their first round will be November 8th, and it is the Argentinian round. That is their opening round of the series this year for World Supercross. There's plenty more races after that, but we'll get to them with future shows. All right, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching and listening, guys and girls. I appreciate it. Don't forget to send us those t-shirt orders. You need to email me at info@alwaysmoto.com. You need to follow us online. You need to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've had a lot of new subscribers come on board. Thank you for that. If your podcast app allows, rate us, please. It's awesome. Thank you. Don't forget, we've got written articles over on fullnoise.com.au. Check that out as well. But that's it for another show. Thanks to TechnicMotorsport.com, Duramoose, Pivot Pegs, Competitive Edge Performance, and Tech 167 3D Printing for the show support. Thanks to the wife for helping out all weekend with the photos and holding the camera and giving me that support to do all this media work. She's also there in the background. She's a mechanic as well, by the way. She's pretty badass. So, but she's supporting us, getting some other intel from the riders as well. So it was awesome to have her at the event again. Thanks to the kids for behaving while we're trying to get those interviews done as well. They were there on the Sunday doing it, and they let me get this done each and every week. But that's it. We'll see you at the track.